Emily Carter never imagined her life would turn into a constant battle. Not the kind you see in movies, but the quiet, exhausting kind. The kind where every single day feels heavier than the last. It was 2:17 a.m. The world outside her small apartment was silent. But inside, everything felt loud. The ticking clock, the humming fridge, and the weight of responsibility pressing down on her chest. Emily sat at the tiny kitchen table, staring at a pile of unpaid bills. Rent, electricity, school fees. Each envelope felt like a reminder, but she was doing this alone, completely alone. In the next room, her 5-year-old son Noah was fast asleep, peaceful, innocent, unaware of the storm. His mother was fighting every single day, just to protect his world. Emily closed her eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. Just a little longer, she whispered to herself. Just hold on a little longer. Because giving up was never an option. Not when Noah depended on her for everything. But what made it harder was the silence of someone who should have been there. Daniel, the man who once promised her forever. The man who held her hand and told her they would build a life together. The man who disappeared without a single explanation. No goodbye, no warning, just gone, like he never existed, for 3 years. Emily had tried to make sense of it at first. She thought something terrible had happened. She called hospitals. She contacted friends. She even went to the police. But nothing. It was like Daniel had vanished into thin air. And slowly, painfully, she accepted the truth. He didn't disappear. He chose to leave. And that truth, it broke something inside her. But she didn't have time to stay broken, because life doesn't pause for heartbreak. It keeps moving, and she had to move with it too. Jobs. Morning shifts at a cafe, night shifts, cleaning offices, sleep became a luxury she couldn't afford. But every time she looked at Noah, she found strength she didn't know she had. Because for him, she would do anything, absolutely anything. That night, as she reached for another bill, something caught her attention. A letter, different from the rest, thicker, heavier, official. Her heart skipped a beat. Slowly, she picked it up. Her fingers trembled slightly as she turned it over. A law firm's name was printed on the front. Her stomach tightened. "Lawyer," she whispered under her breath. For a second, fear crept in. Had she missed a payment? Was she being sued? Was this more bad news? She hesitated, then took a deep breath and opened it. Her eyes scanned the first line, and suddenly, everything changed. Regarding child support. For breath caught. Child support. For mind raced. No, it couldn't be. Her hands started shaking as she read further. "We have located the father." Emily froze. The room felt like it was spinning. Located, after 3 years, Daniel had been found. 1,000 emotions hit her at once. Shock, anger, confusion, and something she didn't expect. Hope. Her heart pounded as she read every word carefully. The letter explained everything in cold, formal language. Daniel had been located. He was alive and legally. He was required to provide financial support for his child. Emily lowered the paper slowly. For a moment, she just sat there in silence, trying to process it. He was alive, all this time. He was alive, while she struggled, while she cried, while she worked herself to exhaustion. He was out there, living his life. Something inside her snapped. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, you don't get to just come back like this." Her hands clenched into fists. For 3 years, she carried everything on her own. And now suddenly, there was a letter, a legal notice, like it was just business, like none of the pain mattered. Tears filled her eyes. But this time, they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of anger. Pure anger. Emily stood up, pacing the small kitchen. "He doesn't get to choose when he shows up," she muttered. "He doesn't get to walk away and then act like nothing happened." But deep down, she knew one thing. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about Noah. Her son deserved better. He deserved support. He deserved answers. And for the first time in years, Emily felt like she had power. Real power. The next morning, she made the call. Her hands were steady this time, her voice firm. She wasn't the broken woman he left behind. She was stronger now, and she wasn't going to let him escape responsibility. The phone rang once, twice, three times. Then, click. A voice answered. Hello. Emily's heart stopped. She knew that voice, even after 3 years, even after everything. Daniel. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable silence. Emily. He finally said. No surprise, no emotion, just calm, too calm. Her grip on the phone tightened. You're alive, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I am. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just 2 words. Something inside her burned. You disappeared, she said sharply. I know, you left your son, she added. Another pause. I know. Emily felt her anger rising again. Do you have any idea what we went through? Daniel didn't answer immediately when he finally spoke. His voice was different, quieter. He's okay. He asked that question, hit her harder than anything. You don't get to ask that, she snapped. I've been taking care of him alone. I know, he repeated softly. Emily closed her eyes, trying to control her emotions. I received the letter, she said firmly. About child support. I expected you would. Well, good, she replied, because I'm not asking, I'm demanding it. There was silence on the other end. Again, then Daniel spoke. I'll provide for my son. Relief flickered inside her. Finally. But, then, he added something that changed everything. But, not the way you expect. Emily frowned. What does that even mean? It means, there are things you don't understand, he said. Her patience snapped. I understand enough, she said coldly. You left. You owe us. End of story. It's not that simple. Of course it is. She shot back. This isn't a game, Daniel. This is your child. Another pause. Then his voice lowered. If you push this legally, things will come out. Emily's expression hardened. Is that supposed to scare me? No, he said calmly. It's a warning. She laughed bitterly. A warning. After disappearing for 3 years, now, you're warning me. You're not ready for the truth, Emily. Her eyes narrowed. What truth? But Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he said something that sent a chill down her spine. Just, be careful what you ask for. Click. The call ended. Emily stood there, staring at the phone, her heart racing, confusion mixing with anger. What was that supposed to mean? She whispered. But one thing was clear. He was hiding something. Something big. And whatever it wasn't going to stop her. Because this time, she wasn't backing down. She wasn't the same woman he left behind. This time, she was ready to fight. No matter what it took. And she had no idea that this fight was about to change her life forever. The morning of the court hearing arrived faster than Emily expected. She barely slept the night before. Every time she closed her eyes, Daniel's voice echoed in her mind. Be careful what you ask for. Those words didn't make sense, but they didn't feel empty either. They felt like a warning, a real one. Emily stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her simple blazer. Her face looked tired, but her eyes were different. Stronger, focused, determined, double quotes. This is for Noah, she whispered. Not for revenge, not for pride, for her son. That thought gave her the strength she needed. When she arrived at the courthouse, the atmosphere already felt tense. Cold, serious, unforgiving. People rushed past in suits. Lawyers carried files, and the echo of footsteps filled the halls. Emily took a deep breath and walked inside. Today, everything would change. Inside the courtroom, she sat beside her lawyer, her hands resting tightly in her lap. Stay calm, her lawyer whispered. We have a strong case. Emily nodded. Of course they did. Daniel disappeared for 3 years. He provided nothing. No money, no support, no presence, legally. This was simple, or at least, that's what she believed then. The doors opened, and Daniel walked in. Emily's breath caught. He looked exactly the same. Simple clothes, calm expression. No signs of stress, no signs of guilt. That irritated her. How can he be so calm, she thought. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and just like before, there was something strange in his gaze. Not fear, not regret, but something deeper, almost like he knew something. She did. Emily quickly looked away. She refused to be shaken. Not today. The judge entered, and everyone stood. The hearing began. Emily's lawyer stood first, confidently presenting her case. "Your Honor, my client has raised her child alone for 3 years," he began. He spoke clearly, firmly, laying out every detail. The sleepless nights, the financial struggles, the emotional burden each word felt. Like a reminder of everything Emily had survived. And now he continued, "We are requesting full child support, including back payments for the years the father neglected his responsibilities." Emily felt a small sense of victory. Finally, someone was saying it out loud, the truth. When her lawyer sat down, she glanced at Daniel. Still calm, still silent. Then it was his turn. Daniel's lawyer stood slowly. An older man, confident, too confident. "Your Honor," he began, "while we acknowledge the situation presented, this case is far more complex than it appears." Emily frowned. Complex. There was nothing complex about abandonment. Her lawyer leaned slightly toward her. "This is just strategy," he whispered. "Don't worry." But something didn't feel right. The room shifted. The air felt heavier than Daniel's lawyer placed. A set of documents on the judge's desk. "These," he said, "are official records that must be considered before any judgment is made." The judge adjusted his glasses, picking up the papers. At first, his expression was neutral. Then, it changed. His eyebrows tightened. His posture straightened. And for the first time, the judge looked surprised. Emily's heart started pounding. "What is it?" she whispered under her breath. Her lawyer leaned forward, trying to see the documents. The silence in the room became unbearable. "Mr. Daniel," the judge finally said slowly, "are these documents authentic?" Daniel stood. "Yes, Your Honor." His voice was steady. Too steady. Emily felt her stomach drop. "What documents?" she demanded. Quietly, no one answered her. The judge looked up again. "If this is true, this changes the entire nature of this case." Emily's confusion turned into frustration. "Can someone please explain what's going on?" she said, louder this time. Her voice echoed slightly in the courtroom. All eyes turned toward her. Then Daniel's lawyer spoke. "Your Honor, with your permission, I will clarify." The judge nodded. "Proceed." The lawyer turned slightly toward the courtroom, and then he said the words that shattered everything. "Mr. Daniel is not simply a private citizen." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "What?" she whispered. "He is," the lawyer continued, "a direct member of a royal family." Silence, complete silence. It felt like the entire room had frozen. Emily blinked once, twice. Then she let out a small, disbelieving laugh. "This is ridiculous," she said. "Is this some kind of joke?" But no one laughed. Not the judge, not the lawyers, not even Daniel. Her smile faded. "Wait," she said, slowly, her voice shaking now. "You're serious?" The judge cleared his throat. "These documents appear to be legitimate," he said carefully. "They indicate that Mr. Daniel holds a royal title under international jurisdiction." Emily's mind went blank. Royal Daniel, the same man who once borrowed money to pay for groceries, the same man who lived in a small apartment with her, the same man who vanished without a trace. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "This doesn't make sense." Her eyes snapped toward Daniel. "Say something," she demanded. Daniel met her gaze, and for the first time, there was emotion in his eyes. "I wanted to tell you," he said quietly. Emily's anger exploded. "When, after disappearing for 3 years, she snapped. I didn't have a choice." "Oh, please," she shot back. "You expect me to believe that?" Daniel took a slow breath. "Isn't what you think it is." Emily stood up suddenly. "I don't care about your life," she said. "I care about my son." The judge raised his hand. Order in the court. Emily sat back down, her heart racing. Everything felt unreal, like she had stepped into someone else's story. But this was her life, and somehow it had just become something much bigger. Daniel's lawyer continued speaking, explaining the legal complications, international laws, royal protocols, jurisdiction, issues. Words that felt distant and complicated. Emily barely understood any of it. All she understood was this: Daniel wasn't who she thought he was. Not even close, and that changed everything. The judge leaned back in his chair. "This case cannot proceed in a standard manner," he announced. "Further review is required." Emily's lawyer stood up quickly. "Your Honor, regardless of his status, the child, I understand," the judge interrupted. "But this situation involves international legal considerations." Emily clenched her fists. "So what does that mean?" she asked. "It means," the judge said carefully, "this case will be temporarily suspended until all factors are reviewed." Suspended, the word hit her hard. "No," she said, "that's not fair." But the decision had already been made. The gavel struck, and just like that, the hearing was over. Emily sat there, frozen. Everything she thought she knew, everything she planned, it was all gone. Daniel approached her slowly for a moment. She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even breathe properly. "Emily," he said softly. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with anger and confusion. "You lied to me," she said. "I didn't lie," he replied. "I just didn't tell you everything." "That's the same thing," she snapped. Daniel shook his head. "No, it's not." Emily stood up. "Then explain it to me," she demanded, "right now." Daniel hesitated, just for a second. Then he said something that made her heart sink. "Not here." Emily laughed bitterly. "Of course," she said. "More secrets." Daniel's expression tightened. "I was trying to protect you, protect me," she repeated. "From what if?" He looked at her carefully. "From this," he said quietly. Emily followed his gaze. Outside the courtroom doors, people were gathering, whispering, watching. Something had already started, something she couldn't stop, and deep down, she felt it. This wasn't the end of the fight. This was just the beginning. And whatever truth Daniel was hiding, it was about to change her life forever. The moment Emily stepped out of the courtroom, she realized something was very, very wrong. The air felt different. Heavy, chaotic voices echoed through the hallway, whispers. At first, then louder, sharper. "Is that her? That's the woman. The royal case." Emily's heart started pounding. "What's going on?" she whispered. Looking around, her lawyer suddenly moved closer. "We need to leave now." But before they could take another step, flash, a bright camera light exploded in her face. Then another and another. Within seconds, the quiet courthouse hallway turned into a storm. Reporters rushed forward. Microphones were shoved toward her. "Miss Emily, is it true? You had a child with a royal heir. Did you know his real identity? Are you trying to claim royal money? Will your son be taken into the royal family?" Emily froze. Her mind couldn't process the questions. Her chest tightened as panic crept in. I don't." She tried to speak, but the noise swallowed her voice. Flashes kept going off, blinding, relentless. She stepped back, overwhelmed. "This isn't right," she muttered. Suddenly, a firm hand grabbed her arm. "Come with me." It was Daniel. His voice was calm but urgent. Before she could react, he guided her through the crowd, pushing past reporters, ignoring the shouting. "Daniel, over here. Confirm your royal status. Is the child next in line?" Emily's head spun. Next in line. What were they even saying? Finally, they reached a quiet exit. The door slammed shut behind them. Silence. Real silence. Emily pulled her arm away instantly. "Don't touch me," she snapped. Daniel stepped back, giving her space. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as she tried to catch her breath. "What was that?" she demanded. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "It's out," he said quietly. Emily stared at him. "What's out?" "My identity," he replied. Her anger flared again. So this is your life, she said bitterly. Chaos, cameras, lies. It's not lies, he said. She shot back. Because everything about you feels like a lie right now. Daniel didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked at her, carefully, like he was choosing his next words. Very, very carefully. I was going to tell you, he said, when Emily snapped. After another 3 years, his jaw tightened slightly. No, he said. Before they found me. Emily blinked, she repeated. Daniel sighed. My family. The word felt heavy, different, not normal, not simple. Emily crossed her arms. Start talking, she said coldly. No more secrets. Daniel hesitated. Then finally, he nodded. All right. He leaned against the wall, his expression distant, like he was looking back into a past he tried to escape. I wasn't supposed to meet you, he began. Emily frowned. What does that mean? It means, I wasn't supposed to be there, he clarified. The city. That life. Any of it. Emily's confusion deepened. Daniel looked down briefly. Because I ran away. Silence. Emily stared at him. You ran away, she asked slowly. He nodded. From everything. From what, exactly? Daniel took a deep breath. From being who I was born to be. Emily's heart skipped a beat, which is, he looked up, and this time, there was no hesitation. A royal heir, the words hung in the air. Heavy, unreal. Emily shook her head. This doesn't make sense. It didn't to me either, Daniel said quietly. Not at first, he continued. His voice calm, but filled with something deeper, something real. I grew up in a world where nothing was mine, he said. Not my choices, my future, not even my name. Emily listened, her anger slowly mixing with curiosity. Every step I took was controlled, he added. Every word I spoke was watched. So you just left, she asked. Yes, just like that. Yes. Emily let out a short breath, and you thought that was enough. Just walking away from something like that. For a while. It was, Daniel said. His expression softened slightly. Then I met you. Emily felt something shift inside her. Something unexpected. You were different, he continued. Real, honest, free. She looked away. I didn't know who you were, she said quietly. That's why I stayed, he replied. Emily looked back at him for a moment. Neither of them spoke. The tension between them wasn't just anger anymore. It was something deeper, something complicated. So what happened? She finally asked. Daniel's expression darkened. They found me. Emily's stomach dropped. Who? My family, he said. They never stopped looking. Her mind raced. So they just showed up. And what forced you to leave? Yes. The answer was immediate. No hesitation. Emily stepped back slightly. You didn't fight it, she asked. Daniel laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. You don't fight that kind of power, Emily, he said. You survive it. She didn't know what to say. Everything she thought she understood was slipping away. And Noah, she asked quietly. Daniel's face changed. The calm cracked. He was the only reason I hesitated, he admitted. Emily's chest tightened. Then why did you leave anyway? She asked. Daniel looked at her. Really looked at her. Because staying would have destroyed both of you. That answer hit her harder than anything before. What does that mean? She whispered. It means, he said slowly, once they knew about you, about him, you would have been pulled into that world. Emily swallowed. And that's bad, because Daniel stepped closer, but kept his distance. Because it's not a life, he said. It's a cage. Silence filled the space between them. Emily's mind was spinning. So all this time, she said, her voice softer now, you stayed away to protect us. Yes, she didn't respond, didn't move, didn't even blink. Because for the first time, his story made sense. Not completely, but enough. Enough to make her question everything. But you still left, she said. Finally, Daniel nodded. I did. And that hurt us. Anyway, I know. His voice was almost a whisper. Emily looked down. Her anger wasn't gone, but it wasn't as sharp anymore. Now, it was mixed with something else. Understanding, and that scared her. Because understanding him meant letting go of some of the hate she held on to for years, and she wasn't sure she was ready for that. Why now? She asked suddenly. Why come back now? Daniel hesitated. Then he said something that changed everything. Again, because they know about Noah. Emily's heart stopped. What? They found out, he repeated, and now they want him. The words hit like a punch. No, she said immediately. No, that's not happening. Daniel's expression was serious. Emily, listen to me. No, she snapped. He's my son, and mine, Daniel said firmly. The tension snapped back instantly. Emily stepped closer. Her eyes filled with fire. You don't get to say that after disappearing for 3 years. I know, he said, but this isn't about us anymore. Then what is it about? Daniel took a deep breath. It's about what happens next. Emily's chest tightened. What happens next? She repeated. Daniel looked at her, and for the first time, there was fear in his eyes. Real fear. They're coming, he said quietly. Emily's heart started racing again. Who? Daniel didn't answer right away, but when he did, his voice dropped to almost a whisper. My family. And in that moment, Emily realized something terrifying. The court case, the child support, the anger, none of it mattered anymore. Because now, she wasn't just fighting Daniel. She was about to face something far more powerful. Something she wasn't prepared for. And deep down, she knew one thing. Her life was about to change forever. They're coming. Daniel's words echoed in Emily's mind long after he said them. Her heart refused to calm down. Her thoughts refused to settle. Your family is coming here, she asked slowly, trying to process it. Daniel nodded. Yes, when? She demanded. Soon, that one word felt like a countdown had already begun. Emily stepped back, running a hand through her hair. This is insane, she muttered. This isn't my life. This isn't supposed to be happening. Daniel watched her carefully. I told you, he said quietly. Once this became public, everything would change. Emily let out a frustrated laugh. No, she said, shaking her head. You didn't tell me it would turn into this. And before Daniel could respond, a loud shout echoed from outside the building. They're here. Emily froze. Daniel's expression instantly turned serious. That was fast, he whispered. The air shifted again. Heavy, tense, dangerously quiet for a split second. And then chaos. Black luxury cars pulled up outside the courthouse entrance. Doors opened in perfect synchronization. Men in dark suits stepped out first. Security, sharp eyes, no expressions. Then came something even more powerful. Presence. The kind that didn't need to shout to be noticed. The kind that silenced everything around it. Emily slowly turned toward the entrance, her breath caught. A tall, elegant woman stepped out of the central car. Graceful, cold, powerful, beside her. An older man followed, equally commanding, equally intimidating. Daniel's parents, even without introductions, Emily knew. Her chest tightened. She asked quietly. My family, Daniel confirmed the way he said it. It wasn't pride. It wasn't warmth. It felt like pressure, like weight. The guards quickly cleared the area. Reporters were pushed back. Cameras struggled to capture every second dot. This wasn't just a visit. This was an arrival. Emily instinctively took a step back. I don't like this, she whispered. Don't have to, Daniel replied. But they're here now. The royal couple walked forward, their presence commanding complete attention. Every movement was controlled, every step deliberate. When they finally stopped in front of Daniel, the silence returned, heavy, uncomfortable. The older man spoke first. You've created quite a situation, he said coldly. Daniel didn't flinch. I didn't create it, he replied calmly. It already existed. The woman's eyes shifted to Emily. Sharp, judging, analyzing. Emily felt like she was being studied, measured, double quotes. We assume this is her, the woman said. Not a question, a statement. Daniel nodded. Slightly yes. Emily straightened her posture. She refused to feel small. Not in front of them. Not in front of anyone.
I
Have a name, she said firmly. It's Emily. For a brief second, the woman's eyebrow lifted, almost surprised, but her expression quickly returned to calm indifference, of course. She said, Emily, the way she said it. It didn't feel respectful. It felt distant. Like Emily didn't belong in their world, because she didn't, and they knew it. The older man stepped forward slightly. We prefer to handle this matter privately, he said. Emily crossed her arms. This is my life, she replied. I'm not going anywhere. A brief silence followed. Then Daniel spoke. She's right. His parents looked at him. Something shifted in their expressions. Not anger, but disapproval. Very well, the woman said. Then we will proceed together. A private room was arranged quickly, away from reporters, away from chaos, but not away from tension. Inside the room, everything felt controlled, quiet, almost too quiet. Emily sat across from them. Daniel beside her, but it didn't feel like support. It felt like being surrounded. The older man folded his hands calmly. We will not waste time, he said. Good, Emily replied. Neither will I. Their eyes met. For a moment, it felt like a silent battle. Then the woman spoke. You have raised the child alone, she said. That is, acknowledged. Emily didn't respond. Acknowledged. That word felt small. Too small. But now, she continued, the situation has changed. Emily leaned forward slightly. How? The woman's gaze didn't waver. Because the child is no longer unknown. Emily's chest tightened. He has a name, she said. His name is Noah. Another brief silence. Then the older man spoke again. And Noah is part of our family. Emily's jaw tightened. No, she said firmly. He's my son. And our blood. The man replied calmly. The tension in the room rose instantly. Daniel shifted slightly, but didn't interrupt. He was watching, listening, waiting for years. You had no interest, Emily said. Now, suddenly, you care. It was not a matter of interest, the woman said coldly. It was a matter of awareness. Emily let out a small laugh. So now that you're aware, what you want him? The woman didn't hesitate. Yes. The word hit like a shockwave. Emily stood up, instantly. No, her voice echoed in the room. Firm, unshaken. I'm not giving you my child. The older man remained calm. You misunderstand, he said. We are not taking him. We are offering him a future. Emily shook her head. He already has a future. The woman's expression hardened slightly. A limited one. That was it. That was the moment. Something inside, Emily snapped. A limited one. She repeated. Yes, the woman said. A life without resources, without influence, without protection. Emily stepped forward. He has love, she said, and that's more than enough. Silence, heavy silence. Daniel finally spoke. Enough, he said quietly. All eyes turned to him. He looked at his parents, then at Emily. This isn't about control, he said. It's about choice. The older man nodded slowly. Exactly, he said, which is why we are giving her one. Emily's heart skipped. A choice, she repeated. The woman leaned slightly forward. You may continue raising the child, as you have, she said. Emily's chest loosened slightly, but then that one word changed everything. You may allow him to be raised within our family. Emily froze. The room felt colder. What does that mean? She asked slowly. It means, the woman said, he will receive everything. Education, protection, power. Emily's heart pounded. And me? She asked. A pause. Then the answer came. You will remain part of his life, within limits. Limits. The word echoed in her mind. Limits on her own child. Her hands clenched into fists. And if I say no? She asked. The older man's voice remained calm. Then you continue as you are. Emily stared at them, at their calm expressions, at their controlled power. And suddenly, she understood something. This wasn't just an offer. It was pressure, silent, powerful, unavoidable. Daniel looked at her. His eyes softer now. "I told you," he said quietly. "It wouldn't be simple." Emily swallowed, her mind racing, her heart torn. This wasn't about money anymore. This wasn't about anger anymore. This was about something far bigger. Her son's future, her role in his life, her right to keep him close. And for the first time, Emily felt fear. Real fear. Because no matter what she chose, she was going to lose something. And deep down, she knew it. This wasn't a battle she could win. It was a decision she had to survive. Emily didn't remember how she got home. That night. Everything felt like a blur. The palace. The offer, the pressure, the word choice. It echoed in her mind, over and over. Again. Choice. But it didn't feel like one. It felt like a trap. Her small apartment felt different. Now, quieter. Almost fragile. Like the life she had built was suddenly standing on thin glass. Emily stood in the doorway of Noah's room. He was asleep, peaceful. Just like always. His small chest rising and falling softly. His hand wrapped around his favorite toy. So innocent, so unaware, tears filled her eyes. "They want you," she whispered, her voice cracked. "They want to take you into a world I don't understand." She stepped closer, gently brushing his hair back. "I don't know what to do." For the first time in years, Emily felt lost. Not because she was weak, but because this decision, it wasn't simple. On one side, power, security, a future filled with opportunity. On the other, freedom, love, a normal life. And no matter what she chose, something would be taken away. Emily sat beside Noah's bed, holding his tiny hand. "Tell me what's right," she whispered, but he didn't answer. He just slept peacefully, trusting her, and that trust, it hit her harder than anything else, because, at the end of the day, he didn't need power, he needed her. That realization settled deep in her chest, and slowly, her mind became clear. The next morning, Emily made the call. "Tell them, I'll meet them," she said firmly. Her voice was steady, different, decided. This time, she wasn't confused, she wasn't afraid. She was ready hours later. She stood once again inside the palace, but this time, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel overwhelmed. She walked in with purpose, with strength, with certainty. Daniel was already there when he saw her. His expression changed. "You came," he said. Emily nodded. "I said I would." There was something in her tone, something final, something that made Daniel uneasy. "Are you okay?" he asked, quietly. Emily looked at him for a moment. She saw the man she once loved. Not the royal, not the stranger, just Daniel. "I will be," she said. Before he could say anything else, the doors opened. His parents entered, just like before. Calm, controlled, powerful. But this time, Emily didn't look away. She met their gaze, directly. "We assume you've made your decision," the woman said. Emily nodded slowly. Silence filled the room. Even the air felt still. Waiting, the older man leaned forward slightly. "Then, speak." Emily took a deep breath. Her heart beat steadily, not fast, not afraid, just strong. "I don't want your money," she said. The words landed heavily, unexpected. The woman's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. "I don't want your power either," Emily continued. Daniel blinked slightly. He hadn't expected that. "I didn't raise my son for 5 years, just to hand him over now," she added. Her voice was firm, unshaken. "He has a life," she said. "A real one." The older man spoke calmly. "A limited one." Emily shook her head. "No," she said. "A free one." Silence. Daniel watched her carefully, his expression slowly softening. "He wakes up happy," Emily continued. "He laughs. He plays. He's loved." Her voice grew stronger with every word. "And no palace, No title, no power can replace that. The woman finally spoke. You are denying him opportunity, Emily. Met her gaze. I'm protecting his childhood. That answer hit differently. Even the room seemed to react. The older man leaned back slightly. And what about his future? He asked. Emily didn't hesitate. I will build it, she said, with my own hands, with my own strength. Daniel's eyes widened slightly. There was something in her words, something powerful, something real. And you, the woman asked, what do you gain from this? Emily paused. Then she answered honestly, nothing. A soft silence followed. But I don't lose him, either, she added quietly. That was it. That was the truth, the real truth. And everyone in the room felt it. Daniel stepped forward slowly. Emily, he said. His voice was softer now. Different. She turned toward him. You can be part of his life, she said. The words surprised him, but not like this. He frowned slightly. Then how? Emily took a breath. Not as a royal, she said. As a father. Silence. Pure silence. Because that was something no one expected. Daniel looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time, he understood. You're giving me a choice too, he said quietly. Emily nodded. Yes. Another long pause. Then something changed. Daniel smiled. Not the calm, controlled smile from before. Not the distant one. A real smile, warm, free, double quotes. Thank you, he said. His parents exchanged a glance. They weren't pleased. Not at all. But Daniel didn't look at them. For the first time, he wasn't waiting for their approval. The older man stood up. If this is your decision, he said, then we will not force it. The woman added quietly, but understand, the door will not always remain open. Emily nodded. I understand. And she did, because this wasn't about doors anymore. It was about boundaries, and she had just drawn hers. Clearly, strongly, finally, as Emily turned to leave. Daniel followed. Emily, he called softly. She stopped, but didn't turn immediately. What is it? She asked. He stepped closer. I meant what I said, he told her. I want to be there for him. Emily looked at him, her eyes searching his. Then show up, she said. No, disappearing, no secrets. Daniel nodded. I won't. A small silence passed between them. Then, Emily gave a slight nod. Good. And just like that, she walked away. Not rich, not powerful, not royal, but stronger than ever before. Because she didn't choose the easy path, she chose the right one. And as she stepped out of the palace, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, real peace. Back home, Noah ran into her arms. Mom, he laughed. Emily held him tightly, smiling. You're my whole world, she whispered. And this time, nothing was going to change that. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't what you gain, it's what you refuse to lose.